In the words of Aaron Rodgers himself, it hasn't been pretty, but that's the exciting thing. We haven't played our best ball yet, but we're 6-1. If that's the case, then I can't wait to see the Packers' best ball, starting hopefully with next week's game against the still undefeated Cardinals. We'll recap the mostly comfortable win over the Washington football team and share feedback from all of you. All this and more on your Packers Fan Podcast.
Wayne Henderson from MediaVoiceovers.com. Glad to be with you again this week, and it's true. A win is a win is a win. 6-1, baby! Go Pack, go!
Go Pack, go indeed. And I'm Scott Clark from The Gaming Outsider. And while I would have loved to have seen a complete domination this week, a win is still a win. And I'm happy we walked away with a W. Both Wayne and I are glad you're here to join in this discussion. Thanks so much for listening. This is episode number 236 of your Packers Fan Podcast, and this week we'll talk about the victory over Washington, 1950s throwback uniforms, and all. We've also got your voicemails from 920-3PACK-GO by email and more.
And then we're going to preview this Thursday night's huge game in Arizona against, like you said, the undefeated Cardinals. Scott's got his keys to victory, though, and that's going to make it all better. So let's dig into the highlights from our win over Washington. And let's just say I loved especially how the game started. You know, right off the bat, we got the ball, nice, long, sustained drive for a touchdown, the TD to Devonta, passes to a variety of Green Bay Packers. It's all we could hope for.
Absolutely, and that touchdown you're talking about, I believe, was on a fourth down play, which I was a little nervous going for on fourth down, that close, that close to the, I guess it wasn't that close to midfield, but that felt good for sure. And I think it was David Newman from our community that made a comment in our Facebook group about how it was just a near perfect drive. Like, it was just, everything just clicked. We're like, all right, we're going to steamroll this team. It was a fantastic way to start the game. I thought it was interesting that the Washington football team deferred after winning the coin toss. Giving us the ball right off the bat might have been a mistake.
I think it did turn out to be a mistake, but we'll take it. They had a few mistakes on the day.
That is true. And also a highlight is our defense. They were just all around, had a much better performance this week. The red zone, man, we broke the streak. That big monkey that was on our back is officially over. And if you remember, Wayne, that was one of my keys to Packers' victory last week, was breaking that snap, if nothing else, for morale. And they certainly did that and then some. They stopped the offense from getting into the end zone 4 times. We haven't done it all season, and we did it 4 times this game when they were inside the 20, 3 of which had no score at all. So we actually stopped them from even getting a field goal, which was great. More highlights from the defense, too. Rashawn Gary's strip sack, which was recovered by my own Rockford boy, Dean Lowry. That was pretty cool. And Devondre Campbell had double-digit tackles and forced 2 fumbles. And then, of course, Chandon Sullivan's end zone pick in the fourth quarter that pretty much sealed the deal for us. All around, really happy with our defense this week.
Yeah, it seemed like they were pretty good in the first half, and then they got even better in the second half. So,
which is always the opposite for us normally.
Yeah, thanks for that reminder. But hey, we have turned a corner, and Bojorquez saving our bacon with more great punting. And I know, Scott, it's strange to hear so many props for a punter on the Packers Fan Podcast, but this season he is really standing out.
He really is. I want to ask you, though, about the one punt he had. That you couldn't have had a more perfect punt, because it landed right on the line of the end zone and bounced back into play, which is, you can't ask for a better punt than that. You really can't. But I wanted to ask you, it looked like it touched the line, man. I feel like we got away with one there. What did you think?
It's hard to tell. It was hard to tell for the officials. It was hard to tell even with the different camera angles. I mean, we're, streaming in 1080p or maybe even in 4K to some areas, and still it's not clear enough to really tell. I don't know what they have to do to make it any clearer.
More positives: Alan Lazard, Robert Tonyan, Mercedes Lewis, and more. Rodgers really did spread the ball a lot more this week. He did pass quite often. And Tonyan finally had a touchdown. Granted, he did have one earlier in this season, but so great to see that on tight end week. I don't know if you saw that in all the games that you watched, but
yes.
Everybody was talking about happy tight end week. Happy Tight End Day, National Tight End Day. It was kind of great seeing all these plays to tight ends. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but my fantasy team, thanks you, Mr. Tunyon, because he was able to help me gain a victory this week with that touchdown. Because, yes, he is on my team. So, and I was this close to benching him, and I'm glad I didn't.
Scott.
Man, he's been doing nothing. Week. I know, right? That was honestly part of it. Like, I'm not going to bench him on tight end week. So
because I would not be surprised if Aaron Rodgers, because he knows what's going on around him, he's like, it's tight end weekend. I got to get it to Bobby T. Gotta.
I wonder if that goes through his head.
I bet it does. I don't know if it changed the game plan per se, but I know it went through his head.
It had to, yeah, for sure.
So it was great to win. But on the low light side of things, David Bakhtiari's return cannot come soon enough for me. AR-12 was sacked and knocked down too many times again, especially in the first half.
Oh, yeah, and we were talking about it last week that he might have come back, and he unfortunately didn't. So we sorely missed him, but we still were able to handle them just fine. The saving grace with the defense there was that the offensive line, not the offense, or the defense, but the offense, they kept him from being sacked in the second half. So all those sacks that you're talking about happened in the first half, and like you said, they got things back together and brought it in the third and fourth quarters, which was really great to see.
And today, Coach LaFleur said, bit of a teaser, later this week, I'll have an update on David Bakhtiari's status.
There you go. Also, there was some questionable tackling. I know we've been talking positives about the defense, but especially on special teams, it just feels like we have forgotten how to tackle on occasion. Some of those players are just squirting through, and it's kind of rough to see. But, hey, we've turned things around on the defense, so hopefully we can turn things around on special teams in the near future as well.
But one thing that did strike me as a little bit of a negative, but mostly it's a negative for Washington, is how dare Heineke tried to do a Lambeau leap. I know he grew up a Brett Favre fan, but you're at Lambeau Field. You're not wearing green and gold. You're not going to do a Lambeau leap. He scored what he thought was that touchdown, did the Lambeau leap, and hey, that's what happens when you try that kind of tomfoolery and shenanigans.
Oh, yeah. Karma.
Points off the board.
I will never forget, I was watching a game years ago, and somebody from the opposing team, I want to say it was the Vikings, I could be wrong, did a Lambeau leap, and then they showed a video of a Packers fan in the stands like wiping down the railing with a Packers jersey. Like she took a Packers jersey off and was just like cleaning it methodically. I thought that was hilarious.
You got to sanitize against those things.
I know.
That sounds familiar, and I'm not sure if this other one was a Viking or maybe it was the Bengals at one point a few years ago. Somebody did a Lambeau leap, and 2 or 3 Packers fans just pushed them back out, as they should. Not trying to be malicious, but just like, no, I don't think so.
Right. That's our thing. Let us have our thing. It's kind of like when you go to a baseball game and the opposing team hits a home run and you have to throw it back into the field because we don't want it.
Oh, yeah.
Also worth noting, we got some sad news today, actually, that defensive coach Joe Barry and Devonta Adams are on the COVID-19 list. We will touch on this a bit more when we get to our game preview segment later in the show, but that is sad news, not just for game reasons, but just for their overall health. You hate hearing that kind of stuff, and it's going to be a rough week. It's going to be a rough week, but thoughts and prayers go to those guys and hope that they get a speedy recovery because my wife had COVID back in 2020, and it was not a fun experience for her at all. It's no joke. On a positive note, though, in Packers land, you remember when Aaron Jones lost that pendant on the field a while back? And somebody, I can't remember what it was, a team trainer that found it. Well, Aaron Jones decided to repay him. And this story actually was shared with me by superfan Aaron Peterson, who gave me this link. Aaron Jones actually gifted that trainer some scooters, which I thought was a kind of a random thing to do, but gotta love the gesture. He found his pendant, returned it to him, and he got some scooters out of it. So that was pretty cool.
That is very cool, especially when you think about, Bakhtiari getting Aaron Rodgers a special golf cart. They love their toys. These guys love their toys. I don't blame them. Well, dear listeners, you had a lot to say after this game as well. You gave us a call at 920-3PACK-GO. Also sent in some messages attached to emails. Send them to feedback@PackersFanPodcast.com. So this coming Thursday, it's going to be just crazy because it's Thursday night football, and we are still going to just record on Monday. So, we'd like it if you'd send in your feedback right after the game when you're super excited after we finally knock off the undefeated Cardinals. So give us a call at 920-3PACK-GO right after the game, or maybe sometime Friday, and we'll go from there to get things ready for our Monday recording. But for now, let's talk about what the Packers did to the Washington football team.
So I finally made it back to the hotel after an amazing day at Lambeau Field with friends, family, and other fans. Washington and Green Bay fans alike had such an awesome time. And who would have thought that the defense was going to win the day? 4 red zone stops after 15 consecutive red zone trips by our opponents, allowing them for get a touchdown. We finally stopped, and it all in one day. And really, Washington offensively beat us out in yards, time possession, first downs. They had 70 plays compared to our 53 plays. Special teams had a blocked field goal. And as I like to call him, Bojo, a 46.3-yard punting average. Who would have thought that run game was nothing. Aaron Jones only had 19 rushing yards. A.J. Dillon, 2 yards, and he had 2 fumbles, one which he lost. Aaron Rodgers, he had 17 yards rushing. He was almost the leading rusher on the team. And now we have a 3-game lead in the division over the Chicago Bears, who still, and the Minnesota Vikings. And now we got to turn around in 4 days and face the only undefeated team in the NFL at Arizona, not at home in Lambeau Field. This is going to be a game, and this is really going to test us, see where we're at in the division, in the league, really. I'm expecting a close fight, but unfortunately, I see us falling to the Arizona Cardinals just because we've always had trouble with mobile quarterbacks. And Kyler Murray, he is a very mobile quarterback, and they like to push the pace of play to be really fast, whereas the Green Bay Packers, we pretty much come up to the line of scrimmage and wait till the last 5 seconds of the play clock to wind down so Aaron Rodgers can read the defense. So I see us, unfortunately, losing this one. I'm taking off my rose-colored glasses and saying that our Green Bay Packers are going to fall to the Arizona Cardinals 27-24. I hope I am wrong, but the Arizona Cardinals are clicking on all cylinders, but that could be their downfall too. I remember back a few years ago when Green Bay was undefeated and they went to go face the Kansas City Chiefs, and I thought that they were going to lose. I thought the Packers were going to lose, and that's what happened. Kansas City got us. We can get Arizona just the same. Thanks for the awesome podcast, Wayne and Scott. You guys are doing an amazing job. And shout out to the rest of the Packers Fan Podcast listeners. Let's do this thing. Let's go. Go, 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 Pack, go.
Thanks so much, Dan. Great to hear from you. Boy, does your voice sound rough, man. I have, between you and Megan and Pete from last week, blasting out your voices at these games. I feel your pain and feel a little bad for you, but I know you enjoyed every minute of being at that game, screaming and shouting, so that was awesome. Yeah, who would have thought that a defense would have saved the day this week? And they really did. It was very impressive, super impressive. Sorry to hear that you're not feeling too good about the upcoming Cardinals game. You're right. Kyler Murray is an incredibly mobile quarterback. It's kind of what he's been known for, but he's proven that he can throw too. He's got something like somewhere between 55 and 65% accuracy thrown this season. So he's a formidable force for sure. Fantasy players love him right now. I'm not feeling too good about it either, but trying to remain optimistic like Wayne, because that's what you do, right, Wayne?
Absolutely. Dan, put those rose-colored glasses back on you, my friend. And thanks for sending in the voice message attached to an email and send it to feedback@PackersFanPodcast.com. I love the feel of the game, the great Lambeau crowd chanting, "Go Pack, go, go Pack, go," to help lead you off, because how can you have a voice message that doesn't start out with at least one "Go Pack, go," if not 10 or 15 or something like that? And yeah, the Cardinals do look very, very sharp. We'll talk about them a bit later in the podcast. But I will say, for the first 5 or 6 minutes of yesterday's game, the Cardinals offense was sleepwalking. I don't know if they were playing down to their competition or if that's anything we can count on again this Thursday night to help us get a fast start, but we're going to have to wait and see. But Dan, again, also thanks for all of the kind words. We really appreciate it. And go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go! Go Pack, go! Hey guys, Andre in LA. What a masterful performance by the Packers today. It was a chef's kiss, a tour de France, as they say. It was beautiful to see, especially on a day where we had really no running game to speak of. I think we only had like 2 rushing first downs, not even touchdowns, just 2 times we got a first down running the ball. It was incredible, and it was beautiful to know that we can rely on Aaron Rodgers when we have no run game to speak of. The defense did a great job. I know they did a terrible job stopping the run, but they kept them out of the end zone. And that's really what you want, bend but don't break defense. Again, Devonta Adams, what more can you say? Just another game, ho-hum, 5 catches, 60, 70 yards, a touchdown. He spoiled us the first few weeks. But I love what I saw. I love what, I know 6 straight wins. Super exciting. I know we got a rough stretch coming up these next few weeks, but it'll be a great test for us to see how good this team is really looking. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm thankful for all the Packer faithful. Thankful for this podcast. It's awesome to listen to you guys every week. Supporter of the Patreon. I hope everybody listening is also supporting the Patreon. But just wanted to give you guys a shout out. Love you guys. Andre in LA. Yes, I know, and you know exactly who I am, but just, want to make sure I have to give my calling card. Go, Pod, go! Go, Pod, go!
Andre, we love the fact that you include the calling card. So good to hear from you. And chef kisses for this game. I love that. That's quite a visual there. And good point, Andre, about how our rushing game was pretty much shut down, but Aaron Rodgers and the receivers took care of business. Devonta Adams, he may not have had stellar numbers this week, but that one catch he made on the sideline, Scott, that was incredible.
It really was. He's widely considered to be the best in the league right now. Just a clutch play, great hands, great recognition of where the sideline is. He's so much fun to watch because he makes it look easy. He really does.
Yeah, you see the play at full speed and you're like, I don't know, he might have been out. And I'm like, who am I kidding? Let's see it in slow-mo. He's in. Yep. He's in. And Andre, also thankful for the Packer faithful. And Andre, thank you for your Patreon support and giving a shout out to Patreon. More details on that later in the show.
Go Pack, go. This is Phil from Kansas City. Great win. I was expecting it to be a little bit more of a lopsided affair, but it was towards the end. Big props to the defense for ending that drought in the red zone where 15 straight touchdowns given up. What a way to end it, 3 straight no points scored in the red zone for the Redskins. All right, Washington football team, sorry. Not a great offense or anything, but we have to get our footing under us with that going into the biggest game of the year so far. Maybe the whole year, the playoff implications and seeding and whatnot. Way to go, Rodgers. The old man still has his legs under him. He's he's playing like he's got something to prove, even though we all know he doesn't. He's the man, you know. Don't really have a lot to say, but good team win. Way to stop the drought. Rodgers is still the daddy of the NFC. Go Pack, go.
Hey, thanks, Phil, from Kansas City. Appreciate the call, man. I know, we hear from Packers fans all over the country, and we're going to be playing the Chiefs coming up here pretty soon, so that's going to be an interesting week to hear from you then. I agree. It was a great win, but I'm with you. I really was hoping that we were going to dominate a little bit more, but when we get to our keys to Packer victory, I think I may have some explanation for that, but stay tuned for that. Props to the defense for the red zone stoppage. I think there was 4. They did 3 without any points, but I think there was 4 stoppages, which was really great. And yeah, what can be said about Rodgers that hasn't been already? He still got it. He definitely. I mean, I know he doesn't have anything to prove, but he wants to. I think he wants to prove it. And he wants that Super Bowl win worse than anybody. I think. What do you think, Wayne? I think if the Packers do go all the way this year, I think he would retire on a high note. What do you think?
I think there's a chance that he probably would.
Mm-hmm.
And Packers fans like us would be more insufferable than ever, because then we could, of course, tell people the 14-time NFL champion Green Bay Packers. And Aaron Rodgers, another thing I noticed in this game, he seemed to have been smiling a lot more than we've seen him smile in a long time.
That's a really good point. There was a couple plays where he was trying to catch him off sides, and just seeing him grinning, looking at the defense and looking at his teammates was great to see. I kind of miss the old days back when Clay Matthews used to mess with him, and like remember when like Clay Matthews like grabbed the cameraman's camera and like photobomb him from behind while he's in the middle of interviews and stuff. I miss some of those antics because I just saw the camaraderie, but I don't know, maybe you can't just recreate that, but that was always fun to see. So it's great to see him smile for sure.
Plus, when his buddy David Bakhtiari gets back on the field and is suited up on the sidelines, they can have a little bit more fun on that side of things as well. So any day now.
Go, Pack, go! What up, Wayne and Scott? Jared from Colorado. Yeah, love the game. We have another win under the belt with a banged up Packers team. One of the things I'm pretty excited about is just Packers are finding ways to win despite the injuries, and I feel like it's much different than times in the past, where, especially in the McCarthy era, where if the starters were injured and everyone was banged up, or it seemed like everyone was banged up, it pretty much depended on Rodgers playing perfect football every week. And the fact that has not been the case is really awesome to see. I think it's a testament to the scouting team and the talent scouting that happened or that has been happening with Brian Gutekunst. And I also think it's a huge testament to Matt LaFleur as a head coach. I believe I saw a stat somewhere today where the Packers haven't had this much of an awesome win-loss ratio under a head coach since the Lombardi era. You'll have to check the stats on that. I don't know the specifics, but that's a huge deal, and that's a huge. I love it. Matt LaFleur is an awesome coach. He's not without his faults, but he clearly has these guys dialed in, and the fact that he has not lost 2 games in a row is a huge testament to that. So he doesn't let the guys get down on themselves after a loss, especially losses like week 1. So sure, I'm getting to the end of my time. All in all, I think the defense continues to improve every week. I'm glad they got their red zone monkey off their back, which is awesome. I think if they play like they did in the red zone today and just combine that with the way they've played overall, I think we're in really good shape. And once the offense, especially the O-line, gets healthy, so that the run game, so they can open up lanes for the run game, I think once they get healthy, we're the rest of the league needs to watch out. So love the win. That's all I have to say. And hope you guys have a good week. Green and gold till dead and cold. Bye.
Thank you so very much, Jared in Colorado. And yeah, I'm going to have a pretty good week. Details later when we preview the game. And yes, it's great that we're finding ways to win, even with a banged up team, because we are finding a way. And like Jared says, that's props to our scouting personnel and to Coach LaFleur.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, not to bring up a punter again, but what a get he was. I mean, just even things like that. But everything that we've been doing on the defensive side, although we haven't seen some explosive plays from some of those new players like Smith and the player from Detroit whose name is escaping me. I'm a terrible reporter at this point, but it's really cool to see these aggressive moves at this point in the season. The defense is definitely improving. It's crazy watching the game and seeing our defense outperforming our offense. But I'll take it because defenses do win games for sure.
Yeah, it's something we don't see very often in Packerdom, and we're happy to see it. And winning percentages like ours have not been seen since the days of Lombardi.
That's impressive.
That's saying something, and the numbers don't lie. So there you have it. And had to pass this along. Megan and Pete didn't get a chance to call this week. I don't know if it's because their voices are still shot, but they sent a very short message. So you're going to have to imagine this being in their voices. What a game! Alan Lazard! And other good stuff. So thank you, Megan and Pete, for keeping us in the loop. Now, let's check in with our weekly poll that we put in the Facebook group at PackersCommunity.com and on Twitter at Packers Fan Pod. Now that we've won 6 in a row and the defense is getting a little healthier, how are you feeling as we go on the road to Arizona and then to KC? Will we win both of these road games? Will we beat Arizona but not Kansas City? Will we beat Kansas City but not Arizona? Or the Packers aren't going to win again till we get back home and host the Seahawks? What say you, Sir Scott?
Oh, boy. Wayne, you're not going to like my answer, but I think we'll beat Kansas City but not Arizona, especially with some of the things that happened this week. I think it's going to be a very rough week for our Packers, but I think Kansas City is struggling, especially with Mahomes potentially being banged up yesterday. It's still waiting for a status on his health, and he is a powerhouse for that team. Obviously, it's a team, not just him, but that's a huge blow if he's out. Granted, that's 2 weeks away, but yeah, I think we'll win one but not the other. And I already know your answer, so.
Wow, you are correct. I did not like that answer. Believe it or not, I think we are going to win both road games. It's not going to be.
I don't believe it.
It's not going to be easy, and it's not going to be pretty. But I
hope you're right, man.
Hey, rose-colored glasses, green and gold-colored glasses, we got them all.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the listeners, the votes came in, and coming in first place, 68% said we will beat Kansas City, but not Arizona. So, Scott, did you stuff the ballot box or something?
No, I purposely don't vote on these polls just in case. I want it to be just listeners, not any of our feedback. So,
yeah, and 27% said we're going to win both these road games. 2% said that we're going to beat Arizona, but not Kansas City. That would kind of be a shocker. And 3% says the Packers aren't going to win till we get back home. That would be an even bigger shocker.
I sure hope not. Let's start with Monica in Mexico. Says it's going to be close, but definitely Packers can win both games. Go, Pack, go. And Jared in Colorado, who we just heard from, said, it's funny, going into this season, I was thinking the Pack would beat Arizona and lose to Kansas City. Now I think it's the other way around, especially depending on the news with Mahomes going out of the game today. Now, that said, I would love if the Pack makes a statement game against Arizona and finally clicks on all fronts of the game that day. Could not agree more. That would be the time for that to happen because this is going to be our toughest matchup for sure.
Guaranteed it's going to be tough. And Garrett commented on the poll saying, I'd like to vote for 2 wins, but a short week to rest and then prepare for Arizona is going to be tough. Not impossible, but tough nonetheless.
At least they have a short week too, so we got that going for us.
Yeah, it'd be worse if they were coming off a bye and had all that time and we had a few days to just travel down to Arizona.
Yeah.
Good point. Rick in Wisconsin, I don't have confidence from what I saw today that they will beat Arizona. I'll be happy for them if they win. I've seen Kansas City be very vulnerable this season, so I can predict a win there. Thank you, Rick.
Agreed. Thanks so much for all the feedback there, everybody. If you too would like to join that community, head over to the Facebook group, join in the conversations, and let your voice be heard.
And if you're getting ready to start your holiday shopping for your friends or family, or even for yourself, if you're going to be buying any Packers or even some other teams' jerseys, caps, shirts, things like that, we've got an affiliate link through Fanatics. If you use our Fanatics link to buy officially licensed items, it'll earn us a commission, which will help support the podcast, and we thank you in advance for that. And Go Pack Go, the link will be in our show notes, which you can find at PackersFanPodcast.com, as well as in many podcast players.
We've got some other great posts and comments unrelated to the poll question, which were made in the Packers Fan Podcast Facebook community group, which you can find at PackersCommunity.com. First off, Dictus in the Netherlands shared a fabulous photo of his game viewing setup this past Sunday. And the quote he had under his picture said, "Packers on the big screen, Formula One race on TV, Red Zone on the iPad. I love these sports-filled Sundays." 3 screens. It reminds me, remember in Back to the Future, when he goes to the future, Back to the Future 2 rather, and his kid is watching like 9 screens at the same time, and Marty's like, man, when I was a kid, if we wanted to watch 2 things, we had to push 2 sets together. That's what it reminds me of. We got all that now.
We are living in the future.
Yeah.
There's also a heartwarming photo in the Facebook group of Chandon Sullivan giving his dad the interception football from the Washington game. And this week was his dad's first time ever being able to be at a game to see Chandon play in the NFL. So that was a win-win there.
What an awesome story. You just love that stuff.
I do. And as always, there's a lot of action in our weekly live game discussion thread going on during the game. And we will have more details on that later. So let's go ahead and dig into email, Scott. What's up first?
Well, first off, this email says, "Go Pack Go, Go Pack Go." Man, I can't believe how fast this season has been going, despite the fact most of the games for the Packers have been on the road. And with the game with the Washington football team being their only game at noon at Lambeau Field. Wayne and Scott, this is Stephen Verheeren checking in from Palace Park, where the hometown Chicago Bears still, well, you know. Does anyone remember the last time in a Packers game that both teams blocked a field goal in the same game? I don't. That was kind of crazy. That was like back-to-back tries, too. Washington quarterback Taylor Heineke decided to get on the act and scored his own touchdown. And growing up as a Green Bay Packers fan, he performed his own Lambeau leap, which really, did that look right with an opposing player doing it? And, of course, the play got reviewed, and they found upon review that his leg was on the field before the ball was, and the touchdown got taken away.
Wah, wah. That's what you call karma right there.
Scott, did you let your students know in advance that you had made the bet with your boss about the Bears game? And since you won the bet and she had to wear a Packers jersey all day, yes, they knew in advance. And like I said, she came into the classroom and showed them the jersey. It was pretty cool. So that was very classy on her part. If you were Matt LaFleur, how will you get the Packers ready for a game with the Arizona Cardinals on a short week? I'll tell you in a couple minutes.
Ooh.
And Wayne, since you are a voice actor and with Halloween coming up, can you say on the podcast in your best vampire voice, "I want to suck your blood"? And I can't wait to have a stress-free Halloween without the Packers playing. Okay, I'm going to check out for now, but as always, I can't wait to hear the podcast. Stephen Verheeren.
Okay.
The floor is yours, man.
I can certainly try to do that, but even though you read it in your email narration, let's hear your version of it.
"I want to suck your blood."
See, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
You're the voice actor. Let's hear it.
Well, that doesn't mean I do cartoon vampire voices, but more of a werewolf guy. Okay, 2 quick things. "I want to suck your blood, and I can't wait to have a stress-free Halloween without the Packers playing."
There you go, man.
I think you win that one. But how about a cackling witch from the Wicked Witch of the West or whatever?
Wow. Look at that.
Kind of scary?
A little bit.
Thanks, Stephen. That was a thing. Also got an email here saying, "Hey, Wayne and Scott, this is Caleb, Kathy, and Roy Fisher from Green Bay." You got it, Wisconsin. So many great plays, including Alan Lazard for that touchdown. And how about for going for it on 4th down and stopping Washington twice near the goal line? But I got to say, we must try and fix going after the opposing quarterback. I think that's going to change really quick, Caleb. Stay tuned. We need to get ready for the Cardinals, where I was born in Arizona. Really, Caleb, we're learning new things all the time. But no matter what, go Pack Go, bleed green and gold till dead and cold. Caleb, Kathy, and Roy Fisher, and word has it that congratulations on a marriage are in order. Also, a quick shout out to Angel and Fuji Mike and company over at the Broad Street South show. They have a show on YouTube and on Facebook. They're mostly focused on Philadelphia area sports, but they kindly linked to our PackersFanPodcast.com site on their site at broadstsouth.com. And we just really appreciate them sharing the love of the show. And if by some chance you have a family member who has not become a Packers fan and instead enjoys the Eagles, have them check out the Broad Street South show on Facebook and on YouTube.
As always, thank you for all of your calls, emails, comments, and support. And remember, please join the Packers Fan Podcast Facebook community and be part of the conversations at packerscommunity.com.
And now it's time to look to the future because your 6-1 Green Bay Packers are heading back out to Arizona to play the 7-0 Cardinals this Thursday, October 28th at 7:15 p.m. Central. Guess what, Scott? The Packers lead this series. Of course they do. 45-26, and there were 4 ties over the years. When the Packers joined the precursor to the NFL, the American Professional Football Association, in 1922, their first ever game was against the Cardinals of Chicago with a final score of 3-3.
What a snoozer that game must have been. Holy cow.
A defensive slugfest.
Seriously.
And we all know the Packers have 13 NFL titles. And although the Cardinals have been around for just about as long as the Pack, they only have 2 NFL championships. One in 1925 and their most recent one, 1947. So to say that it's been a while would be an understatement. Mm-hmm. And Scott, remember last week when you told us that Curly Lambeau, after his historic time in Green Bay, ended up coaching for the Redskins?
Yes, sir.
Well, after Green Bay, but before Washington, Curly Lambeau left the Packers to coach with the Cardinals in 1950. And at the time, I guess that was a very shocking turn of events to the citizens of Green Bay.
I can imagine.
And how about that classic Packers-Cardinals playoff game on January 16th, 2016 in Arizona? I was there for that crazy overtime playoff game, and if only Eddie Lacy could have ran a little bit faster, and if only our defense could have tackled Larry Fitzgerald in overtime, but I digress. I am heading out to the game this Thursday night. I'm going to be in section 445, kind of in the nosebleed area, but that's the way it is. So if you happen to be at the game and can find section 445, pop on over and say hi. Originally, I was hoping, Scott, that you'd be able to join in that game, but timing doesn't work out sometimes for Thursday night games in a school year, right?
It really doesn't. I would have had to miss like 3 days of school, and I'm already missing 2 next month, and it would have stressed me out more than it would have been worth, man. So I'm sorry I couldn't join you, but I'll be there in spirit.
Please be there in spirit. I think since I'll be at the game, I'm going to not be able to be too involved or probably involved at all with the live game discussion thread this particular game. But Scott, you'll be on commercial breaks. You'll be there.
Yeah, on commercial breaks, I'll be there. I stayed up pretty good this week.
And your buddy, Sir Troy, is going to be there as well.
Nice. I would love to hang out with him. You know, you're going to see him more often than I do because he lives like,
around
about an hour away
almost
from me. And you're going to have spent more time with him than I have in the last 6 months just because things have been so busy around here. But before we move on, Wayne, I had another interesting fact I wanted to share with you. Speaking of the Packers and Cardinals, back in 2009, these two teams set a record with the highest scoring postseason game in NFL history. The game went into overtime with the score of 45-45. And the Cardinals wound up winning on a fumble recovery for a score, but there was a blatant no call on a face mask that would have changed the game. Just saying.
Yeah, I'm not bitter. I'm not bitter at all. I remember that well. My son and daughter-in-law went to that game as well. It might have even been their first Packers game as a married couple.
Oh, and they're still married.
And they're still married, of course they are. But that face mask non-call was pathetic.
Yeah, but what a score! That would have just been such a fun game to watch. Over 90 points of scoring, 96 points of scoring in a single game.
Yeah, and we don't have to worry about weather at this incoming game on Thursday night because it's going to be indoors. They could open the roof, but knowing them, the roof will be closed so that it will be loud as heck. And let me attest to the fact that when the Arizona Cardinals close the roof, that it's deafening. It's actually too loud.
I like it. If it's too loud, you're too old.
Or
anyway,
if it's too loud, that means the Packers defense needs to turn the game around, because once we get in the lead, it'll be a little quieter in there.
There you go. There you go. Are you ready for some keys to a Packers victory over the Cardinals, Wayne?
Yes, I am.
All right.
Bring them on me.
All right, so first off is going to be the running game, which I know sounds like a very simple key to victory, but hear me out. Even before Adams was looking to be out for this game, I was of the mind that the biggest key to our success this week was going to be on the ground. If you noticed, we barely ran the ball against Washington. If I'm not mistaken, there were only 13 running plays the entire game. I believe this was intentional and was in preparation for Arizona, and the coaching staff wanted to rest Jones, Dillon, and the others as much as possible with a short week. Now that our best receiver is probably not going to make an appearance this week, our running game is even more important, especially if Bakhtiari is back. This is prime opportunity to rely on getting the ball up the middle, piece by piece, fundamental football. This also keeps the offense on the field more often, and that gives the defense a chance to rest. We want to get that time of possession. Just we want to win on that front for sure. Secondly, keep pressure up the middle. Arizona has an increasingly proficient arm in Kyler Murray, which is a huge threat. But I would imagine the Cardinals will rely on James Conner, much like Green Bay will rely on Aaron Jones. With that said, the Packers should keep pressure at the middle of the line, where Conner is sure to get lots of direction there. If they can contain that running game, it will be half the battle on defense, especially if they can get a few 3-and-outs, which will be key. Lastly, keep answering after every score. As much as I'd love to see a shutout against the Cardinals, that's simply wishful thinking. It's just not going to happen. If anything, this has the potential to be a shootout. If Green Bay is going to have a chance against this undefeated team, we'll have to respond to every score with another score of our own. If they get multiple scores ahead, it's going to be very difficult to dig our way out from a morale standpoint. And if we can't dominate, we have to keep it close and stay optimistic throughout. With that, we definitely can come away with a win. And there you have it.
I love it, Scott, except for when you said you don't think the Packers might win this one. It's going to be a tall order. And what's interesting is those other two games we talked about, Packers at Cardinals, they both went into overtime. Could this be another chance at overtime? I'll get my money's worth for the price of my ticket, but I don't know if my heart can take it. It's going to be insane. And, with the breaking news just a couple hours ago about Devonta Adams and the COVID protocol and all of that, everything's still up in the air. We don't know if he has COVID or if somebody in his contact tracing bubble got COVID. I heard rumblings that at this point there's a chance. You're saying there's a chance? Yes. If he gets 2 negative tests in a row, he might still be able to play, but that might fall under the wishful thinking area.
Yeah, it might be a reach. I wouldn't count on it. I'd love to see him play, but that's going to be a tall order. Would you like to hear the results of our predictions from last week, Wayne?
Yes, please.
Well, we both predicted the Packers to win, which they did, so it came down to points, as it has most of the games this week. I predicted the Packers with a win with 30-20, and you predicted a Packers win 28-17. My differential was 16 points. Your differential was 11 points, which gives you yet another victory because the score was 24-10. Yeah, you're slowly creeping ahead again, man. I don't know what's going to happen, but I have a chance for redemption. Because I know you're not going to like it, but I am predicting a Cardinals win this week. Not more than one, actually it's going to be a 2-score game here. Cardinals 30, Packers 21. With Kyler Murray and the potential of Devonta Adams being out and our defensive coordinator being out, it's going to be a rough week. Away from home, short rest. We historically don't do well after these short rest games, so I think we're going to get the L on this one, but I hope I'm wrong. So I already know you're going to pick them to win, but what's the score that you're going to predict on this one?
I like how you're pretty sure I'm going to predict a Packers victory, Scott. I love that.
I mean, you still haven't picked them to lose ever, so.
But what's interesting is obviously we are going to miss Devonta Adams if he's not able to play, as well as having Joe Barry on the sidelines. And not that we would rather Devonta be totally healthy and to be able to play, but in the past 3 years, in games where Devonta was not able to play, we are 6-0.
There you go, man. There you go.
And Aaron Rodgers loves playing in indoor stadiums. Now, he does love the artificial turf. This is real grass because they've mastered technology there, wheeling the entire turf, the entire grass, the field out into the sun for sunshine and watering and trimming, and then they wheel it back in, and it's all going to work in the Packers' favor. It's going to be a close game, though. Packers 31, Cardinals 28. Might even be an overtime victory. Mason Crosby, please be ready.
That is the closest you will ever get to Wayne predicting a Packers loss, within 3 points.
I love it, Scott.
Well, with that win over me, once again, Wayne, that brings the score 4-2 in your favor, so I've got some catching up to do. I hope I don't get it this week. I will say that.
I know that would be a shame if you make up ground on the backs of a Packers loss.
Yeah, it would be a bummer, but I got to go with my gut.
This doesn't seem right. NFC North, Packers 6-1. The Vikings are still 3-3 because they already had their bye week. The Bears 3-4. Ooh, oh boy. And the Lions, I was pulling for them to actually beat the Rams, and they almost did it, but they are 0-7. And this week, only 2 teams, for whatever reason, have their bye week for week 8, and that's the Ravens and the Raiders.
Yeah.
How come there's not balance? Last week there was like 5 teams on a bye week, and this week there's 2.
It's kind of crazy. My fantasy teams are going to breathe a sigh of relief.
Mine too.
This week, for real. Also in the NFL, I got to talk about Derrick Henry's play this weekend because, as you know, Derrick Henry is a running back. He's a beast of a running back. But he threw a touchdown pass yesterday, which the man can do anything, apparently. It's just insane how many points that dude throws up. And this time literally threw up some points. So kudos to that guy. Also, Tom Brady, congratulations on his 600th touchdown pass. Insane. Absolutely insane. And if you watched the game, it was kind of interesting because Mike Evans was the receiver, did not realize that it was, a very important ball, gave the ball to a fan in the stands. That fan, his name is Byron Kennedy, returned the ball after a promise of a signed jersey and, something else. And I actually saw an interview with him today on NFL Network where the guy was, the commentator was basically asking him, like, so what do you want? Like, you can basically ask whatever you want. And he's like, I don't know, I'm just not going to say no to Tom Brady, but I'd love to play a round of golf with him. So we'll see if he'll get to play a round of golf with Tom Brady. I don't know, but I thought that was a pretty cool story that he actually did give it back. Now, I'm the weirdo. I just would have been, I would have known if I were that team and I were a Tom Brady fan, I would have known that was his 600th pass, and I would have been like, dude, take it. Like, I would have asked for anything in return. Of course, this belongs to you. I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. I did nothing to earn it, but I don't know. They're going to get him a signed jersey and a helmet or something like that. So
you wouldn't ask to be in a Subway commercial for 1 or 2 seconds because that's about all they give Tom Brady in their commercials.
Oh man, that's really fun. But I'm Tom Brady and this guacamole. That seriously cracks me up. No, I wouldn't. I'm just not that person to demand. I mean, I'm not going to turn it down if they offered it, but I'm not going to be like, "What's in it for me?"
He's trying to cut a deal. Well, that's how they go. And earlier in the week, he even was in some sort of interview where he said, "Yeah, Aaron Rodgers, he's doing some great things this season, and apparently he's a co-owner of the Bears or something like that." Yes. So the ownership of the Bears, it rolls on. I love it.
Did you see somebody change the Chicago Bears Wikipedia page? They changed the owner name to Aaron Rodgers.
And there was some fantastic Photoshop work on the outside of Soldier Field saying Rodgers Field. And it was really good Photoshop work because you couldn't tell. I did not
see that.
But nobody would go change the sign. Or did they? I don't know. But I do have a question. Are you ready for Halloween?
I'm as ready as I can be, man.
Awesome. And I am too, only because Doctor Who returns this Sunday, which is Halloween. They have a season premiere entitled, coincidentally enough, The Halloween Apocalypse. And so that's definitely going to be timely. And a few days later on my Don't Blink podcast, I will be returning as well to talk about that season premiere episode. Details about the podcast at don'tblinkpodcast.com.
I've also got another podcast. I'd love it if you checked out, especially if you love video games like I do. This week on The Gaming Outsider, we're discussing our favorite needle drop moments in games, which basically means use of popular music in key moments. I'm very excited to talk about it because I've got quite a few. This topic was actually inspired by a game that my co-host Zach played this week, which is Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. Very excited. We actually got our hands on an early review copy of it. The game doesn't release until tomorrow, and our review is already up on the site, which is a big deal for a small little podcast like us. So be sure to check out that podcast. You can listen to it the same place you listen to this fine show, or you can also check out our website, thegamingoutsider.com.
The value for value model is what helps keep your Packers Fan Podcast in production, especially during the offseason, and hopefully helps us improve all the time. Support at a level that fits your budget. Join in on the fun and check out all the details at patreon.com/Packers Fan Podcast. Like Dan Dyler, huge thanks, and Go Pack goes to you for your Jim Ringo level Patreon support. It rocks. And longtime listener Bryant, channeling your legendary Willie Wood in his particular patronage. Go Pack go to you as well, sir.
And Go Pack go to Jay Walters, coming in hot at the Aaron Rodgers inspired $12 level. Go Pack goes, and thanks to these keen Brett Favre level pledges, Scott Boers, Miguel Ramirez from the Opposites Attract podcast, Jeff Summerfield, Lawrence Harvey, Andre in LA, and Colm Nolan from Ireland. And supporting the Packers Fan Podcast at the Curly Lambeau level, Hank Davis from the TPE Network of Podcasts, Matt Haig, Beth Mentink, and Joe Christensen. Thanks again for all of your support. We invite you to check out how you too can share your love of the show. Details are at patreon.com/Packers Fan Podcast. As a reminder, guys, we are the Unofficial Packers Fan Podcast, not yet affiliated with the NFL or the Green Bay Packers. And please follow the Packers Fan Podcast where you listen to your podcasts. And 'tis the season to tell a friend about the show.
And follow us on Twitter at Packers Fan Pod, at GoCastScott, and me at Wayne Henderson. And to wrap things up and get us all hyped up for the Thursday night game in Arizona, it's Patreon supporter Dan Dyler.
Hey, Packers Fan Podcast listeners, this is your cheesehead from Indianapolis, Dan, and I have just two words for you. Go, 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 Pack, go!